I went out and harvested dandelion root yesterday. It's a cool season crop, so down here in Texas, it's kind of a winter thing. And the reason I got them was we're being 60, do the math, 8, 7, whatever, 8, 68 years old. And then I had some, what looked like might have been prostate difficulties. Getting up, oh God, 3 times in the night, and then just kind of feeling like something doesn't feel right down there, and I mean all the way into my, pardon my French, ladies, into my gonads, and I had seen. I'm not much of one for going to doctors, as you might already know. I wouldn't take my cat to one of them places, but so I've always taken care of things myself, tried to get in front of it and do things nutritionally and mentally and spiritually and, every which way you can do something like that. So the greens are good. I mean, they've got vitamin A, a lot of minerals, and I probably might pick some of those greens out of there. And dandelion's an amazing plant. I had read online, okay, that someone out there had serious case of prostate cancer. The C word. I know there's no cancer that can't be dealt with some other way, because just from what I've seen and know. So he said that he had taken a tea of the dandelion root. I get it right there, just above the root, the crown of the plant. I take a tiny bit of that leaf stalk with it because I don't want to lose anything, and I'll bet you there's really good stuff in that little crown of that plant there. So I'll go ahead and cut that off. So he got on a dandelion powder or dandelion root. I don't know where he got his root, but in 2 months, by making a tea in the morning and the evening, he had cured his prostate cancer. And so I thought, well, that's my ticket. And I did buy a bag off of, I think I just ordered on Amazon, a bag of dandelion root powder. And I used it for a couple of months like that. And by golly, things started being better. And now, much better. And so I did that for a couple months and then kind of laid off for a while, a little bit every now and then. But I did try the live dandelion root, like in comparison, and the taste and the richness, the content of whatever's in there was like really, I mean, you can get a really good, strong, even like bitter taste out of the live root, and it's got to be better. I mean, everything's better live and fresh. And so yeah, I made up a tea like that, and it was like, wow, this is like a lot stronger. This is a whole different ball game. So I figure, I don't know how many. I've got this big bag. Oh, there's stuffed in there too. Those dandelions that I picked the other day, and then I've got all these ones down here that I already cut. And so there's a lot of it. And I figure just, probably just a piece like that every morning and evening for 2 months. Try it out. Bodies are an amazing thing, and then you get into the realm of miracles and magic and mental, the power of belief and quantum physics and all of that good stuff. And it turns out that mind has so much to do with everything, and And also, knowing that you can take care of this stuff yourself, you're more relaxed. When you're more relaxed, that cellular intelligence can work. Cells are like a microcosm of yourself. And when you're upset, they're upset. When you're afraid and constricted, and they are constricted, and communication shuts down. They operate like little beings all in a row, hooked together in like a little choo-choo train of communication, and they sing along together, oh, we this, we that, we this, we that, we got to do this, we do that, we this, we that. And so, being in a peaceful state of mind, happiness heals. Look at it this way. So much of this stuff is about immune response and strong immunities, including cancer. This ain't just about catching a cold. Cancer, you get your immunities up. And now, it's common knowledge out there in the scientific world where we scientists exist. It's well-known fact out there that stress on the immune system is like just hell on the immune system. And you ever have a cold, common cold, and they tell you to stay in bed for 5 days until it's over, but then 4 days in, you're feeling pretty much better, and so you're thinking you got it licked, and then you go out there and you work real hard and get all exerted and worried, and then it comes back, and you have what we call a relapse, right? Because your immune system got shot down by stress. And so rest and relaxation is a big part of the deal. And I promise you, if you took 100 rats and took 50 of them and give them all a common cold, and then you take 50 of them and you stress them out, man, you just terrorize them, for 24/7, and then the other ones, 50 rats, you put them down and let them just relax and be calm and quiet and restful and hydrated, and they're going to get better. And the ones that you put under that stress are going to get sick. So, peace of mind, happiness heals. And, yeah, there was one woman, she had last stage lung cancer. Not lung cancer? I don't know, I can't remember which kind it was. I don't think it was lung cancer. I think it was ovarian or something. But it was late stage, and they said they couldn't do any more for her. And she was trying, chemotherapy. And so she decided, well, instead of doing this, I'm just going to get my favorite books, and I'm going to go set up my little hammock and my lawn chair and get a cabin out in the wild. And she got out on this little lakeside and just set out to die. It's okay, God, if you're going to take me, then take me. But by golly, I'm going to read my favorite books and have a few nice days out here on the lake. She didn't do anything else. It wasn't like she was doing all kinds of extraordinary things to try to get better. All she did was, get rid of the road rage and the stress. And then getting out in nature. You're in the mental environment of nature. Now nature, they all have a mind too. Those little birdies and the bugs and the plants and the trees, they all have mind. It's not like yours and it's not like mine, but it's there, and you know it when you look into the eyes of your dog and your cat and your fish, your goldfish in the tank, and you can do it with bugs too. Even bugs respond. Everything responds if you look it in the eyes. So, being out in nature in that quieter mental environment. Speaking of environments, like for instance, you're trying to get some peace of mind so your body can heal, and you want to go out and do that on the highway while you're driving, and people are like honking at you and flipping you the bird, and or even if you're just standing on the corner at the crosswalk on a busy street, you can feel the tension in the air. You go into a church, where people have been sitting and maybe praying and meditating, and it's a different feeling. You go into one person's house and it feels bad. You go into another person's house, it feels good, just by what has happened there. Some people call it the Akashic record. Remember Edgar Cayce and the Akashic? But it's really just the mental environment, and the more they look into quantum physics and all that stuff, and you start finding out that it's all mind. It's all mind. So yeah. So yeah, I read one time too that the entire time-space phenomenon, I guess you call it the Big Bang, was the result of a fundamental conflict of mind. So now you get the universe of good and evil, polarities, and but there you are. Here you are, right in the middle of it, playing the game. But you got to do something forever. You got to, people praying. Some of my friends are. My parents were preachers, and so I had a lot of upbringing, in the church, and what was I getting at there? Well, whatever I was getting at, we might have to come back to it later. There's just a lot more that goes on in Alio's world here than I can get into words in a day or anything. But if you hang out long enough, we might get down to some of the real business. Some of the real business, I mean, you come here for something, right? Take care of something. No, they told you in church when you were a kid, you came here for a purpose. God has a purpose for you. And then a bunch of other different pathways and paradigms and things, they'll teach you that you're here for a purpose. And you got to discover that and find that and live into that, complete that. So you don't just waste your time here. It's too hard to get here. It is too hard to get here if you can remember being circumcised. It's hard. I'm not looking forward to any more of that, but raised in a religious family. I went on to study lots of different paths and practices, and most of that stuff's kind of secret, because who do you talk to it about? I mean, who do you talk with about, when I was like 10 years old, and I'm trying to talk to other kids about focusing your mind into forming a concept that you can visualize and facilitate that coming into being, but there weren't a lot of kids stuff. But anyway, it's been a long, long road. Lots of paths, lots of practices, lots of development. And somebody told me, they said, okay, Alio, it's time for you to come out and start talking. So we'll just get a good slow start here. I don't want to move too fast, because that's frustrating. You get too much in your head and you're trying to get it all out at once, and then it's just can be kind of an overload. So I say, just get to know one another, and over time, what needs to come out will come out. I do believe in, I know, my mother was spirit driven, guided, kind of an extraordinary life. Father had an extraordinary life, contribution and things, and they all had their weirdo things and difficulties, and all that stuff that we all go through. But for today, we're just going to easy does it. Take care of them dandelion roots. What I'm going to do with it, I'm going to rinse them off some, put them in a bucket, shake them around and everything. But they say that you best just don't try to scrape the skin off of them or anything. Just leave that skin on there. And a little bit of dirt at the bottom, maybe rub it, shake it around in a bucket or the container, whatever. Get a lot of that off. But they say don't bother to get it all off. which so you're actually, you're drinking some mineral dirt. You're drinking some dirt, which would be good for you. Now, one of my chemical doctorate friends told me a long time ago, he said that all soil contains Listeria, Salmonella, and E. coli, which he was saying it's kind of stupid to test for some of these things that they test for that they say are dangerous, those bacterial things, because people just don't have an immune system. But those of us that have been exposed to all of that stuff all of our life, I mean, I caught my daughter when she was 2 with a little goat turd in her mouth, and she wouldn't let me get it out of there. She was like, I had to fish it out of there. But that girl, she's been exposed to all these bacteria. Maybe you get the poops once or twice, and then that you've got those antibodies for the rest of your life, and this kind of stuff. It's like, no worries, no worries. No Montezuma's revenge if I go to Mexico and all this, and I've been exposed to everything. If somebody catches a cold, they say, oh my gosh, I've got COVID again. I say, what happened? You take the vax or something? Seems like everybody that took the vax keeps getting sick with COVID. They say, no, but it's contagious. I say, shut up and kiss me. Shut up and kiss me. Give it to me. Because all I do, I do the nasal snort, this nostril, that nostril, and then a little bit to gargle every 5 hours if I catch something. And that kills viruses and bacteria. The snort, gargle, mouth rinse every 5 hours kills 99% of all the viruses and bacteria in 30 seconds. So you kill most of them. A tiny bit gets through, triggers your immune system. You build your right antibodies, and you can keep up with it and get ahead of it, kill it, and then be immune to it. And you get sick a little bit. I mean, you feel weak and kind of tired, and after 5 hours, that starts feeling like it's coming back, and you do another snort and gargle of that 1% iodine. You feel great again. You lay back down and take it easy for, 2 or 3 days like that, and you're over anything. Maybe even in a day. It doesn't have to be bad. Mixing up that iodine, just go to the drugstore, get your 10% povidone iodine, dilute it down 1 to 10 in water, 10 parts water, 1 part iodine. And I turn my head sideways and pour it in. I spit it out. And then I pour it in out of the cap. And then I drink a tiny bit, about ½ ounce, and swish it around. Spit it out. Nobody has to be sick. It's big business, man. Cancer is the #1 money-making industry in this world, next to war.